Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد في الأولين وفي الآخرين. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Inshallah we're continuing our discussion on the 14th word. So for a while we've been discussing specific verses that seem to be difficult to understand, or they're difficult to reason. And the author has been walking us through his reasoning and his observation and his conclusion. And then the author decided to write the conclusion for this word. I find it very interesting because it's, in a way, it's kind of a conclusion and kind of not, because it's introducing yet another verse that is not difficult to understand, as, I mean, it's a little more straightforward than the other verses we've been talking about, but it has layers and layers of meanings. And the verse says, in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, and what are the goods of this world but the goods of deception? Again, what are the goods of this world but the goods of deception? And this is verse that can be found in chapter 3, number 185. And there's like a small subtitle right under the verse, and it says, "A slap for the heedless and a warning lesson." Now, we did actually read this conclusion together last week, but we didn't stay long enough to see what is it really saying. So I hope it's okay, but I will quickly reread a paragraph and then ask for us to discuss a particular sentence, which is found in the very beginning of the paragraph together. So as I'm reading, please pay attention to the first sentence. So he says, "Restricting one's view to this world transforms a great pleasure into a grievous pain. For example, there are 2 men in this village, that is in Barla. 99 out of 100 of the friends of one of them have gone to Istanbul, where they are living in fine fashion. Only one has remained here, and he too will go there. For this reason, the man longs for Istanbul and thinks of it. He wants to join his friends. When he's told to go there, he's overjoyed and goes happily." So this man is pretty settled, he's happy, he knows that he's going to go to Istanbul very soon, he's not worried. As for the second man, 99 of his friends have departed from here. So this is the second man, most of his friends are gone, but some have perished, and some have been put in places where they neither see nor are seen. So they're kind of disappeared. He imagines that they have departed and disappeared in utter misery. This wretched man becomes friendly with a single guest in place of all of them, and wants to find consolation. Through him, he wants to forget his grievous pain of separation. So the second man, his friends are disappeared. He doesn't know where they go, or they've went, sorry. And on some level, he does want to be with them, but he can't because he has no way to reach them. So instead, he befriends the single guest and tries to forget his grievous pain of separation. So now, if we were to read the first sentence more carefully, restricting one's view to this world transforms a great pleasure into a grievous pain. How is the story of the two men explaining that this world can transform a great pleasure into a grievous pain? Like if you were to imagine yourself one of these men, which man is actually going through the serious pain?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm sorry, I didn't catch the beginning, but usually the world will become painful if I just see it as experiencing what it is, just from my life being here from birth to death. If I have this type of worldview, then definitely everything that I experience will be very painful. On the other hand, which is a starting point, I mean, this is what we go through, we experience this, but if I ponder more on this worldview, then it will not sit well with me that I cannot be here just for the sake of being here, momentary enjoyment, pleasures. It's gotta be more to this. And so then if I am able to connect what this world points to, then it should bring me, it should alleviate the pain.
Right. Thank you very much. I totally agree with the first, I agree with everything you basically said, or at least I can relate to it, that if I am to view the world as a place where everything is just disappearing, it is painful. I do that, of course, often. And specifically with the example of friends, I think we've all had a friend who just disappears. We don't really know what happens. And then we get into this confusion of, well, what am I to do now without this friend or this person? And then this becomes a good reminder, well, that, my life is not attached to, or I'm not created to be attached to a particular or a single guest. And hopefully reach the stage of the first man in the example, who has this sense of security that, okay, I'm going to meet my friends soon, and I'm not in a rush, or I'm not worried about it. Okay. I guess my other question can be, how is this related to the verse? Why is this author bringing in this particular point and this analogy to the verse of what are the goods of this world but the goods of deception? What goods of this world is this example talking about, and what's deceiving?
I think, again, going back to what you shared in terms of momentary pleasure, obviously we experience transience here, so it deceives us if I just get lost in this whole transient nature of the universe that I experience. So it doesn't bring me any good, or like you said, the pleasure piece doesn't give me any good, doesn't give me any pleasure, but just deceives me. It's leaving, it's fleeting, it's just like running water. It's flowing, but I cannot catch it. And then really what am I chasing after becomes the biggest question.
Yes. Yeah, and just to, I guess, add to that is the idea of, you know, it's like when you have something and you're happy with it and then it's gone and you don't really understand why is it gone or where is it going. And then, you know, let's say you get another opportunity to be happy about something, but instead all you're focused on is, well, it's gonna go away. So you can't really see the good or the pleasures anymore because you know it's going away. And you don't know what to attribute this going away to, and you can't make sense of it, and this eventually becomes an unpleasant state of being because you can't really experience the positive feelings of having something anymore. So I think if you only see things in the context of this world, the first time experience is great. Like, I don't know, having your favorite meal or the best cup of coffee, but the cup of coffee's done. Am I ever gonna have the same cup of coffee again? The answer is no. But we really don't know what to do when that cup of coffee's done. Like who to thank, what to look forward to, how to recreate this moment, how to hold on to this memory without the split second painful feeling of, okay, it's done, it's gone. So I think that's the deceptions.
And thank you for sharing this, Radwa. And if I may add also, I guess when we are younger, it's, you know, this is how the world seems like it, but the example you gave in, after a while, you're like, wait, this same thing being repeated, routine, it's not lasting. But what I'm saying is I can go on living just one pleasure after another, and, you know, this is it. But I think after a while, with the process of aging, you know, reality strikes in. I mean, there's no denying or anything in you know, realizing that this is not it. It's all fleeting. And yeah, I think so that then that becomes a big trigger point to question the source of existence of anything, like really the purpose of being here, and what am I to do with these experiences?
Yes, thank you very much. Agabe, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. And I wanted to also point this great pleasure. So it is the will that transforms the great pleasure into a grievous pain. I think that means already we are experiencing the great pleasure. We just have to be aware that it's going to continue. It's a kind of like a perspective. So it means like people's perspective make it pain. Otherwise, we are already in great pleasure if we have the understanding that it's going to continue in hereafter, and if we know the source of it. And another thing that caught my attention is this comparison is about the friendship relationship he started, but as the paragraphs continues, like he points other elements of the life, let's say, not just only friendship, but friendship must be one important thing that we are really enjoying. Maybe that's why he started. That was just caught my attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else would like to add or ask questions? Okay. Okay, with that in mind, let's move on to the next paragraph. It's a short one. And again, there's something that I think we can discuss together. So it says, oh my soul. Sorry, I see something in the chat box before I move on. Okay. Would you like to say it? All right, I'll read it. Our reality is that we desire anything permanently satisfactory. Transient satisfaction leaves us with pain of losing it. Oh, transient satisfaction leaves us with pain of losing it. Yes. Anyone who pays attention to his or her human reality without reducing their humanity only to their body, then they do not take their reality seriously. They just cheat themselves with temporary pleasures. Okay. So I'll go ahead and just restate what you just said to make sure I understand. So what you're saying is, in reality, we do have a desire. I have an innate desire that says, I want permanent satisfaction. Now, when I enjoy things temporarily, this leaves me with pain of losing it. So it's almost like you're saying, I'm introduced to the pain of losing something when I view what I have as transient satisfaction, or when I only experience transient satisfaction. So temporary happiness will leave me with pain because I want permanent happiness. So if I reduce myself to only body, then I'm not taking my reality seriously. I'm overlooking my true desire, and I'm just going from one temporary satisfaction to the other. Therefore, I'm cheating myself. Actually, there's a kind of therapy. It's called logotherapy. And that therapy normally, man is viewed as a spiritual being, and it states the same exact thing. It says, okay, when man cannot find any meaning in life, they basically make up those fake desires or fake pleasures and go from one to the other. So in other words, if you're restricting yourself to this world alone, if you're only seeing, what is obvious or only the material, you're bound to follow or pursue a fake sense of pleasure. And that fake sense of pleasure is the temporary sense of satisfaction. Thank you very much for that. Okay. I feel like a lot can be said here, but I don't have anything to say. So if anybody wants to share or wants to add to the reflections or questions, please do so. It's such a nice conversation to have. Okay. So let's go back to that paragraph. If anything comes to your mind, please let us know. Sorry, the comment continues. Again, it's like reducing the value of a book to its beautiful cover, not meaning. Exactly. That's a very useful analogy, not information in it. Okay. So you're just looking at the book and ignoring the meaning of the book, only focusing on the beautiful cover. Right. or seeing the world as nature only. This is another comment that's saying, or seeing the world as nature only. Okay, so you're saying if I restrict my view that everything is just nature and everything is the production of nature, I will also experience this pain. Human beings are like a book, body is the cover. Okay. I'm so happy that I'm seeing comments coming in. Let me take one at a time. Okay, so remember when we were saying, okay, this is similar to the idea, restricting one's view to this world is similar to the idea of reducing the value of a book to its beautiful cover, not the meaning. Also, this book analogy, we can use it to understand the book is the human being and the body is the cover. So if you only reduce your view to see your body and your bodily needs, but you ignore everything else, or you overlook the meaning that the human needs, then this will result in turning temporary pleasure into grievous pain. And finally, we have a question. How does my desire for perfection mean that there necessarily must be perfection? How does my desire for perfection mean that there necessarily must be perfection? Well, I think the idea is here, well, whoever gave us the desire must possess the quality, right, that we're desiring. Must be able to create that desire. So must be able to also create the result of the desire. Just like I'm thirsty, the thirst points to that there's something that I need to drink. I need to drink water. The desire for perfection is pointing that there must be something that is created perfectly. There must be some perfection for me to observe. That's how I understand it. Finally, I think okay, let me see here. All right, I'm gonna read the comments related to the desire question, and then I'll come back to the comment about nature. So in response to the question of how does my desire for perfection mean that there necessarily must be perfection, response to it is saying it is not your desire, you're given them. The one has given it must be the source of perfection. He must be the perfect one. Therefore, attach your being to him. So just recognizing that, you've been given that desire. In response to that, how do I perceive that I was given something? The key for me has been to ask, how did I know I love perfection? This is a comment, correct? It's not a question. You're telling us that, okay, for you to find out that if something is given, you'd ask yourself, how did I know I love perfection? I hope I'm right in understanding you. Please let me know. Okay, so that's the desire conversation in the chat box. There's another conversation going on in the chat box. In regards to nature, if we restrict our view to only nature, the other comment was saying, well, nature is so beautiful, it is viewed as only material, and often material is to be exploited. But it is viewed as this, but if it is this viewed as displaying God's qualities, then we shouldn't exploit our natural resources given to us by our Creator. Unfortunately, humans are greedy. Okay. Thank you very much. The last comment in the chat box saying, you are created with consciousness. You cannot deny your reality. You cannot deny your reality. If any of you guys want to speak, I'd prefer that just because I think it's gonna be it's getting a little hard to follow the conversations. So if someone wants to just go ahead and voice it, let me know. All right. The last comment is saying, we cannot take for granted that I was given something. I think we need to look into how do we know we are given something. You can't take it for granted, but I mean, do you have an alternative? I mean, how else will you explain it? If it's not given to you, how can you explain that? All right. I'm happy to give the floor to, did I see Farah? You raised your hand?
Yeah, it was earlier to the comment about perfectionism. I'm just scrolling up. It was like, how do I perceive that I was given, no, the one earlier. How does my desire for perfection mean that there necessarily must be perfection? I think it was addressed in the comments. The only thing I wanted to add was that if we establish that my sense of perfection or my sense for the need for perfection is something that is given to me, that means that I am not the source of that feeling or that sense, then the one who gives me that must necessarily be able to create that for me. And someone who has, or some entity, some being who has the ability to create something must also be absolute in its nature, for nothing within the conditions of this universe is able to create something from nothing. And that absoluteness in itself is representing the quality of perfection as such that it is absolute in its being. And so my desire for perfection means that the source of my perfection is also absolute, and hence perfect, or the source of perfection. That's all I wanted to add.
Thank you, Farah. Thank you, Farah. Yes, I see your point definitely there. By the way, Radwa, I have 5 children. I'm a mother and I'm still attending. Thank you for reading from the chat. And so for me, this point is like, it's important to me because it can become circular logic if I don't know how I got to the point where I was given something. And for me, I can't take that. I can't just assume, okay, I was given something and therefore there must be the bestower. I need to know, for myself, for my own personal conviction, it makes more sense to me to ask, how do I know I was given something? And for this, it's one of the most helpful questions that I can pose to myself is, how did I know that these are the things that I love? Where did I get this understanding that all of a sudden I love perfection and beauty and eternity and all of these things? So it's the question of, oh, like, it's not to be taken for granted that we love perfection and eternity and beauty. No, like that, we could have loved something different, or we could have loved nothing at all. It wasn't like a guarantee that these are the things that we loved. We could have loved other things, or we could have loved nothing at all. Yet this is what we love. And there's revelation that's speaking to us of a source of what we love, and 1,000 other proofs. And then it starts to become like a true conviction for me that, yes, I was given something because I didn't know that this is what I would love. I didn't have these great ideas to put in my own mind to develop that I was going to love perfection. No, that was already something that from a child, from a baby, loves perfection. A baby loves eternity. So this is something that we're all given. So that's the point that is very important for me and helps me to not take any of this for granted.
Thank you very much. Thank you for further explaining your thoughts. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for making this very interesting conversation. And I'm glad we asked also interesting questions. Okay, I feel we can move on. Any other comments or questions, please keep them coming. And I think the conversation will continue right after we read this paragraph and discuss it even more. So it says, "O my soul, foremost God's beloved, and all your friends are beyond the grave." Okay. "The one or two who remain will also depart for there. So do not be frightened of death, anxious at the grave, and avert your head. Look manfully at the grave and listen to what it seeks. Laugh in death's face like a man and see what it wants. Beware and do not be heedless and resemble the second man." So again, in relation to the analogy we read at the beginning of the discussion, the second man doesn't know where his friends are. And because he feels this sense of pain of separation, he directs all his need of being befriended to this single guest. And of course, we know how that's going to end up like. So he's basically living in this state of pain. So here the author is saying, no, you know what? You don't need to go through this pain. You don't need to be afraid of death. You don't have to be anxious at the idea of the grave. You don't need to look away from this reality. In fact, if I'm like speaking from the author's perspective, what I recommend you do is actually look at the grave and listen to what it seeks. Try to even laugh in death's face like a man and see what it wants. So what's interesting here is he's bringing death into the conversation and he's telling us to laugh at it and actually ask it what it wants. What is this supposed to mean? I mean, what is the purpose? If we can ask that question, what is the purpose of death? I know usually the idea of death comes with words like grief and loss and, negative feelings, and it's better not to remember it. But what if we actually take the positive or the more confrontational way with death? What if we actually say, okay, I know one day I'm going to be in my grave and that's okay. I'm sure I'm going to be safe there. There's nothing to be afraid of death. It's just a temporary thing for me. And, you know, what if we don't, or we stop associating words like the end or loss or grief with the word death, and instead associate words like hope, continuation, or reuniting with my friends, or going back to what I love, or yeah, that's all that's coming to my mind. Sorry. Any thoughts about that? Go ahead, Farah.
Um, I'll I'll develop my thoughts as I speak, because I was reflecting a little bit. But the first thing that comes to mind is the image that the author describes in the first paragraph of the ostrich putting the ostrich's head inside the dirt, just so that it doesn't see the hunter. So similarly for us, just because we can decide to, let's say, look away from the idea or the inevitability of something as death, doesn't mean it's not coming, doesn't mean it's not there, doesn't mean it's not a reality. And so your comment of confronting it is an important one. And I see it not so much as confronting it, but as seeing as reality, or my existence as it appear, and it really is. So the notion of death is not just sort of evident to us in the lives of people and who pass away, but it's also evident in, we've talked about it in other contexts, such as the seasons or the days, and also any particular moment, when it passes away. It's another word for saying that it's gone. It's, in other words, dead in its physical manifestation. And in anything in reality, anything in our existence, in our experience, we have to ask ourselves, what is our fundamental responsibility or attitude towards anything that exists and that we experience in our existence? And the one way to approach that question would be to say, to evaluate or to understand that experience or that phenomena in terms of what it tells me about what reality is, or what it tells me about who I am and what I'm supposed to understand from my experience as a human being. And death is not anything different than any other experience of reality. And so the question you would pose to it is like, what is this experience that seemingly I want to avoid, apparently, in its apparent sense? It makes me uncomfortable. It induces a certain sorrow or grief in its apparent sense. But what is it? Is that its actual let's say created nature? Is that its purpose, ultimate purpose, to just induce fear, to just induce sorrow? And is that plausible to conclude that something can exist just for the sole purpose of creating fear and sorrow and things or feelings that we don't like? And in questioning that, this process, and going over the apparent sense of the nature of what you're observing, the journey or the effort becomes to understand what it means in terms of what it tells you about who you are and the rest of your life. So and there are, obviously we can build on this, but that's just the initial way that I would say that I would think about any phenomena, any experience, anything in existence, including something that I think the entire humanity seems to agree on, which is the inevitability of death.
Thank you very much. I think when it comes to death, for me, I like I used to think of death as a separate event from things. It's something that happens once and for all, and you know, that's it. Nothing beyond, no warning. But I think through the discussions I've held, it has helped me to see that, okay, well, death is actually something in the happening. Like, you know, like a flower must have died today. The day dies when I go to sleep, and then the night appears, or not necessarily when I sleep, but like the day dies, the night arrives. So death doesn't need to be that scary thing. It's actually, because it's happening, you know, it's like, because of death, there's something being remade, or something that's being recreated. There's almost like a cycle of life. And death is just part of the equation, not a separate event to be afraid of. And I like what you said, because it's, yeah, instead of saying I need to confront it, it's just like I feel like I just need to accept it, and understand its value. All right. Some comments, let me read them. Yes, death happens every single day, actually every single moment. Yes, exactly. Thank you for that. Another comment saying, it's very meaningful to me that it's the same angel that takes away souls that visits the newborn as well. Oh, I wasn't aware of that. I'd like to hear, how is that meaningful for you?
For me, like the angels are, so yeah, you know, this is based on hadith, that there's an angel that is the angel of death, and at the time of the newborn, the time that the newborn is born, that angel visits and writes down certain things about this new life, and then that's the same angel that also takes away the souls. So for me, angels really represent meaning, and it's very, so it's the angel is representing the meaning of the transience of life as well as death. And it's very reassuring to me, because it's reassuring to me that death is also a rebirth, that passing away is also the first step of being resurrected again. Hence the same angel, the same meaning.
Thank you for that. That's very interesting and new to me. Another comment saying, also the idea that the angel that takes away the soul is an angel in the first place, i.e. it represents meaning from the source. Oh, you guys are preparing us for the next word, because it will start talking about angels. So that's, I'm glad this came up. Okay, so these were the two comments, or the two paragraphs that Brother Ali and I thought we should share them with you today. And I'm ready to move on to the 15th word. So this is the conclusion for the 14th word. We can say goodbye here, unless someone wants to add something or ask a question. Okay, well, if we are all ready, we can go to, okay, I have been waiting for this moment. Go ahead, Brother Matt.
It's beautiful that our friends are really engaged in the subject. In all the discussions that we went through so far in our today's session, we have to always think any matter that we are discussing or we are thinking about, starting from existential level, everything from existential level. What does it mean? Very simple. If I have feelings, I should ask, how did I get it? Existentially, how does it exist in my being? If I say that I have consciousness, first of all, I have to question, how did I get it? What is the source of existence of consciousness? Can I get it from it? These are somehow touched upon, but as in a nutshell, I want to just wrap up in my mind and share it with my friends, with you. Everything, for example, if I say there are angels in the creation, in our creation, etc., again, I have to question, how did I get to this conclusion, with what capacity? And this capacity needs to be explained in its existence. So utilizing this method, I found it very interesting. And we can talk about, for example, I see the things are meaningful. Yeah. How did I see it? Because I have been given the existence. I cannot claim that I am the source of existence of this quality of mine. Where did I get it? Someone must be the one who arranged my being in this way with this quality. Oh, continue, I can continue, look at the universe and see, I cannot explain their existence by themselves, and they are so meaningful. So there must be a source which transfers meanings to me through giving existence to the things and also giving existence of the capacity to understand and analyze them within myself. So the source of the existence of these beings like universe and me and my qualities, the qualities that I can see in the creation, perfection, there in the universe, there in my creation. So this perfection must be given by a source which itself must be perfect as well. Because if it wasn't, I would not be able to explain it. So this analysis based on existence is really very satisfactory for me. Just sharing with my feelings with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. I think there is another comment in the chat box. It's saying meaning from the source is the definition of angels. That makes the concept of belief in angels so clear to me. It has taken me a while to really get this, especially from someone who is a convert to Islam. I can totally understand that. I think angels are an interesting topic, and it takes practice to redefine them, I think. Which again is a very good transition to the 15th word. So if you have the book, you'll go to page 191. If not, we're about to turn the page here on the screen. So the 15th word is explaining a particular verse, and it's talking about heaven, as we're gonna see. And you'll see in a couple of minutes why the conversation of angels was such a perfect transition to this word. So this word starts with a verse, in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate. And we have adorned the lowest heaven with lamps, and we have made them missiles, to drive away the evil ones. So this is a verse from chapter 67, and it's verse number 5. I honestly had to look up the Arabic version. So the evil ones here refers to ash-shayateen. And the lowest heaven refers to samawat dunya, if I'm not mistaken. Just for those who are interested in the Arabic version as well. But let's see what the author has to say. So he's saying, "O modern educated sir, whose brain has shrunk through studying the soulless matters of astronomy, whose mind can see no further than the tip of his nose, and who cannot squeeze the mighty mystery of the above verse in his constricted brain, the heaven of the verse may be reached by a straightway of 7 steps. Come, let's climb them together." So again, I mean, the verse at face value, or like without even trying to look into it, is very hard to understand or see the meaning, or kind of understand it in physical terms. So again, the author will use his observation, his reasoning to make sense of this verse. Before I get into it, does anybody want to share anything about this particular verse? Any thoughts about it? Any questions? Okay. So for the first step, so we're about to get into 7 steps. So the first step. Okay, go ahead, Agabi.
Just wanted to ask this term, the heaven of the verse, maybe which might help us to understand also the whole topic, you know. Thanks.
I'm sorry. Do you mean like what does the word heaven mean in this verse, or?
No, the term like the heaven of the verse, this Quranic verse, what does it mean, the terminology of the heaven of the verse? Down there in the end, towards the end of first paragraph.
Oh, the heaven of the verse. Okay, thank you. The heaven of the verse may be reached by a stairway of 7 steps.
I understand that to mean the deeper meanings, or the meaning that you're in search of, that, that represent the heaven for you, where you reach a sense of satisfaction with what the verse means in comparison to what you need from your life or in your life. And the meaning of what the verse provides in accordance with your human needs, and that to me represents the heaven of the verse, if that makes sense.
Thank you, Farah. I'm just gonna read the comment. The word sema is the most critical one to understand to make sense of the rest of the text, I think. Okay, thank you very much. If you want to share your understanding of the word, please do. Brother Ali, go ahead.
If our friend who drew our attention to the importance of the word sema is the critical one, if he wants, please, to explain what he means by there, or if it is the critical one he understood, I will just wait for him. If not, I have something to share with you. Or maybe, okay. Now, exactly what the friend said. Sema means heaven, or in fact, the roof of everything, peak of everything. Peak of everything. It means ultimate purpose of everything. So the word says the ultimate purpose of the world. This is adorned. We have adorned the lowest heaven with lamps. But the word, the lowest means the word in Arabic at dunya. Dunya refers to this life on earth and the existence of this universe. In Arabic, at dunya represents this world, or using our friend Anne's terminology, the material side of this world, meta side of this world, without the meaning. Using my analogy previously I used, the cover, the page of the book, paper side of the book is represented in the Quranic language as ad-dunya, the world, the lower side of it. The translation, the translator has preferred to use the word lowest heaven, adorn the lowest heaven with lamps. Sema at dunya, that is Arabic word, the Quranic word. So it is interesting that if you want to understand the existence of this world, pay attention to it is, I'm using the word of the Quran, sema, it means the top of it, the roof of it, the ultimate point in it. It means really the purpose in its existence. If you want to understand this. So the scripture, the Quran here, the verse of the Quran speech of God always uses analogies, symbolic presentation, So meaning of the things are to be derived from by the reader according to his capacity, his familiarity with the whole context of the text. So it is left to us as much as we can benefit from it. We can benefit from it as much as we can really get familiar with this source, with this text. So the Sema is decorated. And of course, I'm passing from Sema to the meaning of the verse that we are going to read, the commentary on it. So this whole section is a kind of commentary on this verse, not kind of, really, a commentary on this verse by the author. So we understand that in the verse, as we did this, the speaker says, speaker claims to be the creator of the universe. It means it is a challenging language. When he says, we did it, it means, hey, the reader, you cannot find any way of explaining the existence of what I am going to tell you here. What I'm going to mention, give you an example to my message to you, so that you will understand the purpose of your existence. So we say, okay, I can explain the world, existence of this universe in a way without referring to a creator, just happened to be by itself. The text says, if you can, go ahead, find out the evidence, bring it to me and show it to human beings so that you can discard my message to you, as I claim to be the speaker in the text, delivered to you through my appointed envoys. So that is up to you. Think about it. It says, we have made them this decoration. Decoration is interesting because decoration cannot be attributed. The existence of decoration, beauty, can in no way attributed to matter. Impossible. Purposeful, conscious, and the one who knows human feelings addresses, and also through his love for human beings, addresses to human feelings and makes them satisfied. No, matter knows me, impossible. According to me, someone says, it happened to be like this. Okay, but I am a human being. I cannot buy into this suggestion. It doesn't make sense to me. That is up to you. This is my way. So that is, I found satisfactory for me. Okay. We made them this decoration purposeful, openly, obviously declaring the purposeful way of creating existence of the universe is a missile, is a means to shoot them away. Who are they? The evil ones. In the language of the Quran, shayateen, it means plural of shaitan, which means in English, familiar to us, Satans. Satans represent, we have been discussing this on our Monday discussions, represents not reality, just egocentric concern, trying to divorce our existence, separate our existence from its source and saying that I exist by myself. And also doesn't have any reasonable way of explaining its justification at all. I exist by myself. I am growing by myself. As a human being, I think of it. I see that there's no way to accept it. So this idea of self-centeredness, self-sufficiency, all this idea is, if you like, rejected. It answers the An's question. It says, I am unclear what the missiles are. Yeah. Missiles, that beauty of the decoration in the creation of this world. The beauty is, it is a very, analogical language of the Quran. Yeah, analogical word, rujum. It means we stone this idea with the beauty, with the way that we created the universe in a beautiful way. That's a very useful question, actually, or comment, but I'm unclear. Yes, correct. It may not be understood at all from the translation. That is why the handicap of the people who read or have to read the Quran from translations. I mean, what else we can do? Beauty of the decoration in the creation of the world. Beauty of the decoration, isn't that dunya? No. In the way the things are created, for human beings to enjoy the creation of the universe is decoration. If we enjoy it in the name of its creator, but if you refer it to the word itself, it is a source of pain. It is a source of pain, losing it continuously and never being able to get it back. So I think the subject is really going to be discussed, needs to be discussed next week as well. So it's so important to analyze the verse in its original meaning. So we created, I'm just rephrasing the translation of this verse, we created the world, making it so beautiful that the human beings cannot attribute its existence to matter at all. So that all the ideas that has no reality, which is in the language of the Quran represented by the word Satan. Any satanic ideas, as the commentator says, iPhone, representation of non-existence, and not reality. Non-existence means not reality, just speaking for nothing, which has no reason to accept. So any idea which reduces the universe to a meaningless mass of matter can be rejected by human beings if they pay attention to the beautiful way of creating existence of the universe. They can understand that all these vicious, evil ideas, which has no reality at all, will be rejected by any reasonable, realistic, reasonable person using their intellect. So this verse is a very good guidance for us that we have to utilize the way the universe is created in a beautiful way and be very thankful to the source of existence of this beauty, which cannot be the matter itself, but the source of existence of the matter and the universe as it is decorated. For example, when you read a book, you cannot say that the ink I read is the source of this beautiful meaning, information included in the book. No one can claim that. So it is so surprising that the matter of the universe is presented to us in secular education as the source of the beauty of the meaningful way of creation, beautiful way of creation of the universe. So let me see if what our friend wrote here. That is why as science goes deeper and deeper, they still not understand the reality of existence. Oh, are they? They are not looking for the reality of existence. They are looking for technological devices so that how they will really make our bodily life in this world more comfortable than admire them, using those people who don't really use their consciousness. So they will never realize the reality of existence. It is not their concern. Because if you try to understand matter in itself, it becomes missiles for you. It means rejects, stones your evil ideas. No way out. Yep. So that is what the verse is really essentially saying. Yeah. I'm very pleased to see that Anne has realized the importance of missiles, or this analogy of missile is a very interesting analogy. So that we can understand by studying the Quran in this way, or the Quranic verses in this way. I'm very thankful to God that He gave us this opportunity. We are becoming familiar with the language of the Quran in real sense, really, which makes sense to us. So it is a good way of training ourselves, I think, in this kind of discussions. Alhamdulillah, I'm very pleased. I'm pleased to be a part of this discussion group. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you for everyone staying on and being patient with us. I did see a hand up. I know we're over time, but if you can just give us one more minute and then we'll wrap up. Annabelle, did you want to say something, or was your question answered?
No, so I was just summarizing what I understand from Brother Ali, that when we look at matter and we perceive beauty, we have to understand that we're perceiving something beyond the matter that is meaningful to us. And that one moment I'm on. And so that is something that, like, we can't take that for granted. Wait, how in the world did I just perceive beauty? And also how do I know that it's beauty? And how does this all make sense to me? So I appreciated this message because it immediately proves to us that we do perceive meaning beyond matter. We perceive beauty in things, we perceive order, and we can't take that for granted.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for today. Inshallah, we're going to continue our discussion next week. If you feel like there were questions you wanted to ask, or thoughts or feelings that you wanted to share, please take note of them, and next week we can hear them out and continue the discussion. All right. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله